Greetings, programs. It's Anchor Inferno back again. I'm down in here. I'm real close. I wanted to do a quick follow-up video after several questions about my Dark Sun rolling box. Okay, so I'm going to throw up a few sort of diagram photos that should try to help to fully illuminate the design. But this is a very strange piece of geometry. The way that you can get this look is by using a sort of a jig approach. A jig is a piece of material or a piece of like shaved off material or any kind of piece, an object that you can use to measure and fit different pieces of geometry together. So the geometry involved in this rolling box was so odd and complicated that I couldn't really just like draw it on paper easily. So I had to use a lot of jig techniques. So what I did is started with corners. So you need good 90-degree corners, which you can get off the sort of the corners of your XPS sheet, right? And cut those and get some nice clean blocks to work with. And then once you have those blocks, you can start to visualize how this geometry comes together. It looks at the end like very pyramid-y, but really what you're thinking of is in 90-degree corners. So like you have a 90-degree corner here, and that's sort of one of the big building blocks, and then the 90-degree corner here. And then you can mate those corners at this angle like this, and right angle doesn't work. The rolling doesn't work. It's crummy. And then the hard part is to cut this channel in your corner at this angle, and that I don't have any easy solutions for you there. It's just a matter of lining it up and being careful and moving a little bit at a time and so forth. Then I added this chute that's in here, which is a small flexible piece of foam that makes sure the dice don't get hung on the stairs. Originally it was stairs inside of there, and the dice could occasionally get stuck. Now there's some interesting pieces here about how these corners meet. To get a good flat base, you want to meet the corners like this. See, this is just a square, but it's all built at 45 degrees, and so you get these corners, and so you're cutting corner chunks, and this is how the bottom built. You also notice, and I left the bottom unpainted for this reason. I wanted to show you guys. I think I have about 20 or so pennies embedded into the base of this rolling box, and it gives this a lot of weight. The reason that I put all the pennies into the base of the rolling box is that I wanted to have plenty of weight so that when I'm rolling, even if I'm rolling sort of like multiple dice, it's got enough weight that it won't slide or wiggle. And it also just feels really cool when it's heavier like that. So the real key design points that you want to hit are to make sure that your port back here is really easy to use. So you want to get it as big as you can while keeping the sort of structure intact. But you want a nice, easy, and you don't want to be like, carefully putting your dice in there. That's no fun. Also make sure that you get this chute in here nice and smooth with plenty of head clearance on it, like top clearance, so that dice can roll happily down through there, especially something odd like a D4. That's why I did a rampy shape rather than stairs. And so make sure that you test as you're building. Finally, as far as the sort of decorative element, you just take your X-Acto, or you can even use your trusty concrete sharpened Sentoku, which is what I use a lot. And you do straight cuts that are wedged like this, and wedged and wedged, and then wedged and wedged and wedged. And then you carefully extract the little slivers of foam, and then you can get this kind of etched line design. So you just do one at a time. And if using a big Sentoku is a bit clumsy, you just use your X-Acto and always pull your cuts so you don't ever rip the foam. That's the key to getting this look, is you want clean sliding cuts. So practice doing that on a piece of scrap. But yeah, that's how it's built, is you really just think in a square, but a square that is turned. And all the way down to the sort of the way the chute is built in the back is really just half of a square, but it's all rotated. And then also you do these edge flutes or bevels, but the way you do them is, well, you can do it with a big knife or with a X-Acto, but you go into one side very shallow all the way down, following the side, then turn your knife 90 degrees and go same depth in the other direction, and then extract that little sliver of foam. which in one of my other videos I've called it milling. That's how you mill your foam. But that's about it. I just wanted to give you guys a really close look. Then I did a black base coat. Then I did a dark red sponge coat. Then I did a light red sponge touch-up. Then I did a pure gold dry brush when the whole thing was dry. For the final little pieces, I have this dragon miniature that came in RPG Crate, and it was a pewter where the wings and head of the dragon were separate, and you're supposed to build the dragon right, but instead I used them as corner deco and then have my dragon head up there. And so I get my super cool Dark Sun rolling box. Fun, happy crafting, and strength. I'll see you around.